I just had I probably had the craziest lucid dream I've ever had. Just last, like, moments ago. And I'll tell you how it goes. So me and 3 of my friends were, like, crazy in the future. And we were doing this virtual reality. And one of my friends was Maddie, the girl who I fucked before. And then another one of my friends was this girl who was blonde, who I think is basically the same girl as the girl that I'm fucking right now, but she looked a lot more like anime-y in my dream. And then I was hanging out with one more girl who was like my guide in this virtual reality. And I don't remember what this virtual reality was called, but in it they were like different sections. And it was like the new movie that's coming out, like Ready Player One or whatever, and it was like all different references to like different pop culture things. And so we were in the 14th like section, and that section was like, it was falling apart, so we had to escape. And my blonde friend was super into me, and she kept trying to like hold my hand, and like I thought it was cute, so I was kind of for it. And so I would like, we'd be walking and I'd just kind of like hold her like stomach at one point. But this was after I was in the 14th section, and I found Nike Heaton, and I was with her friend, Laura, whatever the fuck her name is. And as this section was breaking down, I was like, I have to save her. So I went in, and damn, Nike Heaton is fine as fuck. So I was like bringing her out. I was like basically holding her hand and like running around trying to find the exit of section 14. And basically at one point we found this park, and I just like laid her down, and I was like, she's too fucking fine. And I started fucking her right there. And she kept making comments on like how good I was doing. Like one moment I'd be doing pretty good, and then the next moment it was a fucking dream, so it was hard to fucking focus. So the next moment I would like slow down, and she'd be like, and I'd just be like, all right, bitch, like, can you chill the fuck out, And so I was like fucking her. But basically I look to my right, and I see this massive fucking like screen that is in the shape of a woman, and it's being held up by like telephone like wires that are made of like pure electricity. So like these big lamps are like 4 lamps are around her, and they're all tied to like her hands and her feet, and she's like face down, like hanging above the street, like about to fall, and these like wires try and pull her back up, but she's really fucking heavy. And basically it's like, it's not working. It's everything is crumbling, everything is falling apart in like virtual reality land. And so I like the Nike Heaton part stops, and I continue on to the part where I'm with Maddie, and I'm with Blondie, and I'm with my like sister, basically, even though I don't have a sister. And we are trying to escape, and when we're trying to escape, we stop at this dance studio, and Maddie's like, oh great, like these people hate me, like we might end up getting in a fight. And I'm like, I'm ready to get in a fight. I'm always ready to get in a fight in my dreams. I'm not afraid, ever. And basically we're like, all right, well fuck dude, we gotta keep going. So we end up doing this whole fucking, like, we break through there's like a wall. There's a whole shit ton of people trying to break through this wall, but it's like a door also. And we end up breaking through, and we're on this like beach, and it's this beautiful beach. And there are like islands off in the distance, like way off in the distance. And there is like, we look up and there are like bridges and like tunnels that take you to different sections. And basically we just keep running because we thought we were still in section 14. We keep going. And then it's kind of like a montage basically of like us going through, but it's this fucking big ass loop. So we end up back in the same fucking spot. And the entire time that we're in this loop, Maddie's saying shit like, she's just saying really dumb shit because she's low-key getting jealous of like me and the blonde girl and like being all fucking cutesy and whatever. And so basically, eventually she tries to pull the like, you had him second, like he's just like, you're just a bounce back kind of girl. And I turn to her and I tell her, Maddie, the sex that I had with you was the worst sex that I've ever had with anyone, and it was like boring. Like, how can you be bored during sex? Like, it was emotionless, like fuckery. It was terrible. And so basically that just like, she had no idea. And then basically Maddie and the blonde girl that I'm with, to be honest, to be 100% honest, I've met this new blonde girl named JC, and we've been fucking recently, and I think it's just her, but she looked a lot more just like anime-y in the dream. And so they start telling each other all these stories, like they're just trying to one-up each other on like all these crazy stories that they've had, you know, like sex stories, like JC, like in real life, has tried to commit suicide multiple times. So they're just telling me, like they're just trying to one-up each other constantly. And eventually, we get back to the beach, and I see this fucking kid, this like child, like basically run forward and then like jump onto his stomach and like slide forward, kind of like a penguin, but he's like in the water, like the really shallow part right where the shore is. And I'm just like, that looked fun as fuck. And I'm just like, and I turned to my friends and I said, hold on, I'm going to make a boat and I'm going to go to those islands like way over there. And these islands are like different, I don't know, they're just like, this fucking virtual reality is like fucking huge. So I'd never been to the islands before, and I just wanted to see what was on them. So I was like, all right. It's like, I guess I'll be back. And then they're like, no, we want to come with you. And I was like, all right. And so, but instead of me making a boat, because in lucid dreams, me creating stuff is like impossible. But instead of me making a boat, I literally just kind of like put my hands back and got ready. And I fucking like jumped, like flew all the way over to this fucking island. And already, this island is like a mile into the fucking ocean, right? But I literally was like flying through, and then I was like about to get it, and I like fucking like basically slowed down midair, and I put my hands back, and I fucking changed the direction of where I was jumping midair, and I jumped towards the island because I was going to overshoot the island. I jumped too far. And so I jumped to this island, and this was like a small island that it was like grassy. It had like a little fountain. It was cool, but I looked over and I saw another island that looked like it was kind of important, and it looked like it was just like connected to the universe that we were in. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go over there. So I did it again. I put my fucking hands back. And I fucking jumped forward. And I overshot this one too. But once again, I like literally turned around midair, put my hands back, and I slowed myself down. And the entire time that I'm doing this, I can hear everyone on the shore. I can hear all my friends being like, "Holy shit, Sam, that's badass. Like, whoa, dude, that's fucking crazy, dude." Saying shit like that. Be like, tell us what you found when you get back. And I was like, shit, I will. So I almost overshot this second island. But, like, here it is. Like, I come this way, and I, like, stop, and I, like, basically slow myself down midair, and I jump down, like, into the island. So now I'm in the island, and it's all cyber technology stuff, and it's all, like, wires, and it's, like, made of, like, cyber technology stuff. And I walk over to what looks like so you know, like an i5 is, like, inside of a computer, the processor, it looks like it's the processor of, like, the island. And so I, like, open up the glass that's, like, protecting it. And I'm about to start fucking with it, so maybe I can, like, save, you know, this virtual reality or something. But this fucking AI that's supposed to protect it skirts out of nowhere. And it's like, "What are you doing? Stop that right now!" And it's like comes at me at full speed. And basically, I grab it. And it was really fucking weird, but it was shaped like a salt shaker with a shit ton of, like, AI, like, fucking wires coming out so it could connect to shit. And basically I grab it, and it tries to grab me with all the fucking wires, but I just, like, literally used my brain to, like, change, like, how it looked. So, like, first I like focus really fucking hard, and all the fucking wires, like, go back into it and, like, shrink in, so he loses all his fucking limbs. And he's freaking the fuck out when this is happening. He's, like, yelling and screaming and, like, pain. And then I, like, look at its head, and it looks even more like a salt shaker. So the inside of his head, which was, like, all fucking, like, wires and computery stuff, like, turn into cheese. It literally turned into cheese because it was all long, and it was all made, like, it was all red. The entire dude was red, but all of, like, the shit ton of wires, like, in his head, I turned them to cheese. And then I fucking headbutted the fucking glass part protecting the wires, and I fucking bit the cheese like I was some fucking animal. And I just ripped the cheese out of his head, and he freaked the fuck out. He's like, "Ah!" And he's like it hurt like a motherfucker. And I literally went, I, like, ripped it, and then he fucking died. And everything around me just, like, started decomposing. And I did the thing where, like, you start, like, falling upwards. You're like, oh, and, like, I start falling upwards, and, like, then I realized I need to take control over the situation. And so instead of me falling upwards, I stop, basically, myself. And then a shit ton of these fucking AI motherfuckers start flooding me in from fucking everywhere. And they're all coming straight towards me. And then they fucking, like, combine, and they start making this, like, long-ass fucking, like, AI dragon. And I'm like, this is the antivirus. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, and they just turn into this massive thing. And I'm like, I'm not about to fight this. This thing is fucking huge. And so I fucking take all my fucking power, and I, like, shoot myself upwards. And I literally blast through this fucking, like, the fucking ceiling of the virtual reality. And then, like, at that point, I lose control over, like, where I'm flying. And there are, like, different portals to like different sections, but I keep falling upwards, and I see like the dragon from like where I was from the little portal that I blasted through, and I keep falling upwards, and eventually I think I bounce off a couple of the portals, but eventually everything goes black, and then I like open my eyes, like, you know, so I'm still raising, and I look around and I see things like Wikipedia, and then I see like the name of the virtual reality. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like each different thing was like different size compared to how big it actually was, because I was like, I'm in the internet. And I was like, holy shit. And so the virtual reality was fucking huge, but it wasn't as big as Google. And it was bigger than Facebook, and it was bigger. But I was only in like the internet for like, 10 seconds before I was just like, this is fucking crazy. And I woke up and I was fucking brain blasted, and I've been awake now, well, for the amount of time that this fucking video's been going, because I've just been talking and talking and talking. But it was like the craziest fucking dream that I've had. And that was the third dream, the third part of the same dream from like this entire dream. So the second part was Nike Heaton. The third part was me fucking like jumping miles and then like stopping midair and like jumping again. But the first part was when there was we were stuck in the virtual reality, the same people, and basically we were in like section 13, not section 14, because we were in section 14 originally, like in the third part. And in section 13, there was this dude that was trying to kill us. So I had to step up to bat, and I had to try and kill him. But literally, no matter what I did, no matter how badly I injured him, no matter how many times this should have been a fatal blow, he didn't fucking die. And that's when I realized I'm fighting against Deadpool. I was like, shit. And for some reason, this Deadpool didn't look like the Deadpool. Like, he didn't have the mask or costume on. And it was a different person than, like, the Deadpool movies. But it's this virtual reality, and anyone can be anything and do, like, anything. So I realized this guy turned himself into Deadpool. And I was like, well, shit, I've snapped his neck now twice. I've stabbed him in the jugular now fucking 3 times. I've shot him in the face like 2 times. I've like taken a fat fucking knife the size of like my fucking arm, like my forearm, and like stabbed him like through him like multiple times. And once I realized that he was Deadpool, more just like Batman villains came, because then this guy Deathstroke came, but he had a healing factor too, and then like a whole bunch of other motherfuckers came that I had never seen him before in my life, but represented different Batman villains, and I had to fucking fight them all. And basically it got to the point where I was fighting like 6 dudes, and basically they were all, I think I pinned them all down to the ground by stabbing them through their bodies, and they were just like stuck to the ground. And so instead of like finishing them off, me and my friends ran, because it wasn't working. They weren't dying. I had to literally pin them to the ground by stabbing them into the ground, all of them. It was ridiculous. But that was my dream. So it was like Batman villains and Deadpool trying to kill us, because I think they saw us as a foreign entity and they wanted to remove us from the virtual reality. Me, Maddie, Blondie, and my sister. Then part 2 is when I lose my friends and I find Nike Heaton and we fuck. And then I'm just like, the world starts crumbling, and I abandoned Nike Heaton. I find my friends, and the blonde girl's like fucking in love with me. She's always trying to get me to like do little cutesy fucking stuff where like we're walking, she like takes my hand, like puts it like around like her, and so I'm like squeezing her tight close, you know, and like shit like that. And like Maddie's getting fucking jealous as shit the entire time, and eventually like I just snap and I'm just like, Maddie, what, like, you know, you didn't stop having sex with me. I stopped having sex with you. Like, I mean, it's probably like mutual, but at the same time, like, you know, that shit was. And like, and I tried. There's like, I got a whole history with Maddie too, because like she was telling me all different kinds of shit, how she felt like she was gonna drop out of school. She felt so shitty. She felt depressed. She like confided in me. And then I was just like, you deserve better, blah, 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 be like, nice guy. And she fucking left me on red. So I was like, all right, this is dumb as shit. But this has been a long-ass video, and that was my dream. And it was fucking crazy. And I was like, just like putting my hands back and just like jumping miles forward. And then like stopping midair and like jumping back down. That's when I realized it was a lucid dream. Because anytime I fly in a dream, I'm like, oh, this is a lucid dream. But shit's crazy. That was the first time that I had changed how something looked in a dream. So